I was in Jordan about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It was my second visit to the region with UNHCR to see their frontline work and meet with Syrian refugees. And I had my husband Andrew with me and my youngest son, yes, Iggy, again. And the Zeitgeist camp is on the border, as many of you might know, on the border of Syria and Jordan. And it was quite literally built in the middle of the night, in the middle of the desert, in the headlights of UNHCR vehicles, as thousands of people flooded over the borders back in, to seek safety back in 2012. So 4 years later, it is the home to nearly 80,000 Syrian refugees. And as we drove into UNHCR's base camp in Zaatari, I couldn't quite work out what I was seeing. There were bodies pressed up really close to the wall and huddled figures, heads bent, and they were looking into their cupped hands. And then I noticed the thumbs. And I realised what was holding the focus of nearly every single one of these, mostly teenagers, it was their bloody phones. And here they were standing in a sliver of a shadow from the sun, and they were showing great resourcefulness. They were tapping into UNHCR's base camp Wi-Fi. There were kids trying to connect with family back in Syria. They were WhatsApping with classmates, former classmates, now spread across Iraq, Lebanon, Turkey, and further afield, downloading news and trying to get information to relay back to others in the camp. So this desire to connect is so strong in us because deep down we all know that you've got to be in it to win it. You have to be in the stream of life for chance to work its magic. So what binds us together, culture, language, life force, carries on and around and through us, and the only way to affect the world and our circumstances is by throwing a line into that stream. Some of us might have a plan, some of us might even have an email address, but really what we're doing when we engage in the world in any way is opening ourselves up to the possibilities, to chance. Connectivity through these new technologies is, on one level, another very effective way for possibility and opportunity to enter and change our lives. It is the chance for chance to enter a life that has been torn adrift from its normality. Beyond the wealth of life force opportunity, a refugee's phone can literally, quite literally, be a lifeline, a single point of connection between a separated family. At base, it can be a repository of memory, a lifetime. Most refugees, many of them in fact that I met, had phones that had no connection, no signal, and so this phone became a precious store of photos and addresses from back home. It was the only images they had of extended family celebrations in more peaceful times. Since working with UNHCR, I have been gobsmacked that people think it's strange that when forced to flee, that refugees take their mobile phones, as if it's a sign that they're not really in need. They're playing to some crazy, outdated stereotype of what a victim in need actually looks like. And I tell you now, if my teenage son had to flee to avoid brutal military conscription and possible death, I'd want him to take his phone so I knew where he was and I knew he was safe. And if I had to gather up my children and take to a dinghy on the seas, I'd want my phone with me so I could let people know that I'd arrived safely and to work out what to do next.